Okay guys, welcome to the tutorial where I'm going to break down Shallow from Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and of course, A Star Is Born. The basic version of the song is going to sound a little something like this, and I have a chord chart free for you guys, lead sheet and a chord chart. You can click up there to get that. Okay, so this is how it's going to sound. Here we go. Okay, so that's a verse of the song, and then of course we're going to go into... Okay, so we're going to get into all that good stuff. What I was doing towards the end there when I was filling out my playing is I was using simple syncopation, chord voicing, and melodic fills and runs. And so if you want to learn how to take your songs to that level, I would encourage you to check out my Improv Piano Tips membership, where I teach those 3 tools and I apply them to your favorite songs. I'm actually recording the next videos for Shallow to put in my membership to show people how to fill this song out. For now, we're going to learn the basic form of the song. If you're not a member and you're not watching this in the membership area, you can check up here. There's also going to be a free lead sheet link in the description, okay? So you can get the lead sheet. I'm going to be looking at it here, just chords and a little bit of melody lines to get started. So the first thing you have to understand is what key we're in, because that will help you kind of stay organized and stay away from hitting this note, okay? This is the note F, and in the key of G major, notice that F is sharp, so we skip it and we just hit the black note. So if you're doing any sort of noodling and improvising, you're going to stay away from that F chord. I'm sorry, the F note. Okay, so you see how I keep skipping it here? So that's important to understand. Let's go through the chords in the left hand, then I'll teach some of the melody line. This is a fairly straightforward song, which is nice, okay? So our first chord is an E minor, then it's a D over F sharp, and the way we're gonna play that is with an F sharp and a D here. So you have a 5 and then your 2 finger here. And then you're gonna go, pinky goes down, 2 finger stays right where it's at to create a G chord. So you have root and fifth of G. So you have da 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 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then it goes to a C chord. Da da ba da 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 dum. Okay. Then you get that cool little fill in there. Okay. So from the very top, the verse is going to go like this: E minor. So 2 counts on the E minor. 1, 2, me, 1. 2, and then 4 counts on the G. So it's 2 counts on the E minor, 2 counts on the D over F sharp, 4 on the G. So we have 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then C, 2, 3, 4. Now 2 counts on the G and D. Now on the D, notice that I'm kind of pushing into the chord, okay? So it's not straightforward. It's not doing this. It's not going C, da da ba da 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 da. Instead of that, we're pushing to the D a little bit early. Da 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 da. Okay, so this is how it's gonna go. Notice how my left hand is kind of already keeping timing. It's really important to keep timing with your 5th interval. And as you'll see, if you're a member on my membership and you're in the video course platform, you're going to find that keeping this timing is really important. My mic's making a funny noise. It's really important when you're playing with the drum loops and then starting to learn how to do the syncopation, simple and advanced syncopation. Okay? So that's what the verse does, just those chords right there. So one more time, just very quickly. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. C to the G. Da, push to the D, and then boom, da 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 dum dum. Okay, so now let's see what the right hand is doing. Okay, the right hand is going to be working through this cluster of notes here. Okay, and what this is kind of based off of is the pentatonic scale. That's what I just went to there. Okay, it's a pentatonic scale movement that I'm doing. You can learn that in my membership, by the way. Okay, so I'm not going to dive into that. In any case, these are the cluster of notes that you're kind of hanging around. Okay, so it goes like this. Tell me something, do. Okay, so very slowly. Okay, and then you're going to go to a C note here when the left hand goes to a C chord. Okay, so slowly, one more time. 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll give that to you. Okay, so that little movement there is kind of the little guitar trill that's happening. And so that's what it is. So notice the fingering, thumb, 2 finger, and 3 finger. So it's a trill, so you kind of go 2 finger, 3 finger, back down to the D. Da, 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 dum. So I'll do it 3 times, starting very slowly and then ramping up to speed. So we have a little faster. You got to get good at this. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. So these 2 notes here. Do-do-dum, do-do-dum, do-do-dum. Okay, now moving on. So the melody line repeats again. Same exact thing. And then... So it's this cluster of notes, and then you move to... which is these 3 notes here. So when I'm working through melody lines and trying to prepare for these tutorials, what I lock in my head is I lock in kind of things spatially. So I think of clusters like I've been talking about here. So I already know that in the verse, I'm going to work through this and then through this here. And that's where a lot of my melody line is going to rest. Okay, so start thinking of how you can memorize things spatially. Think of shapes on the piano, and that's going to help out your memorization. Of course, the chord chart and lead sheet is free, available for you guys. I created that for you, so the link is in the description. To get that, just a name and an email, and I'll send it to you. So let's move on into the second part of the verse. So the left hand stays the same, but then the right hand's going to go. Okay, so that part is really easy in the right hand. The cluster of notes that you're working on is this right here. So you're going to go, when you go to the E minor, you go to this G here. The A, and then you're going to go to the B here. Now what's really cool about this is these are 10th intervals, okay? So 10th intervals are really powerful, and let me give you a little teaching on 10th intervals. So we know that we're on an E minor chord, so our left hand will hit that, right? Notice how I'm omitting the middle note and I'm just hitting here and here. But the chord itself, there's an implied G note. And instead of playing the G note down here, it helps to put it up here to create a more full voicing. Okay, so we're taking one note from the left hand, pushing it into the right hand, and this happens to be the melody line of the song also. But you can use this concept to play your chord. So instead of playing like a G chord, A minor, B minor, instead of doing that, that sounds cool. But to get the right hand going, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to steal the middle note from each of these chords. So it would be a B there. Okay, so those were just a bunch of 10th intervals that I was doing there. Okay, so let's get back to the melody line. The melody line is doing... Okay, 10th intervals there. We talked about that. Okay, when you go to the C... Okay, so let me break that down. So when you go to the C here, we're going to have a little bit different of a melody line here. We have... Okay, so it's these four notes here. So notice how we're kind of sticking in this vicinity. And you have repeated notes on the D. when you go to this A note melody line in the right hand, your left hand's going to switch to the G. So it goes slowly. Okay, so that last little section in the right hand, one more time, very slowly. Okay, so you have to work through that. The lead sheet is going to be helpful for this. And then also, you really do have to saturate yourself in this song. I think a lot of you guys watching this probably know and can hum the tune really well. If you can't hum the tune, then you're not going to be able to kind of emulate it in your hands here. Okay, I could coach you along exactly on where to hit, but that would take forever. So know a little bit of the tune. I'm giving you a little bit of the structure here, and then put the work in, try and practice it. Okay, so we're coming out of the verse here. Okay, it's going to come into the chorus real soon, so. And then, okay, that's into the chorus now. So we're almost done. We'll do the chorus, we'll do the bridge, and then the last ending chorus. And then that's the whole song. So from the top, very slowly, without talking, here we go. Here we go. I'm not going to throw in any fills or runs or anything. Okay, so the chorus, let's go through that. The left-hand chords are going to be doing an A minor, I'm on a dun dun, D over F sharp. This is how we're playing it. Same chord as in the verse. And then you drop into a G. So it goes A minor, do do, drop into the G, da 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 da. Okay, so from the G, you're gonna go to a D, and you're gonna go down, and then to an E minor. Now, in the videos that follow this, when we're talking about our simple and advanced syncopation, I'm going to talk about chord voicing in the left hand and how you can start thinking of doing stuff more like this. Okay, so some of my left hand chord voicing, some of my full right hands might be out of the camera. But in the following videos, I'll make sure to break that down for you guys. For now, like I had mentioned, we're just doing the simple version of the song. Get the simple version of the song down. So left hand one more time. A minor for 4 counts. I'm on the deep end. Watch as I dive in. Okay, so 4 counts on those. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then E minor. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what the left hand is going to do the entire chorus here. Okay, even for the even in that part. Okay, so now let's see what the right hand is doing before we get into the duet part. Okay, so the right hand right at the top of the chorus is going to go. As I'm moving through this, what you should be thinking about, I'm hoping that you're catching on, but what you should be thinking about is what is happening in terms of structure. How can you memorize this melody line based off a shape? Okay, so we're doing a C note, da, 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 we're walking and down. Okay, so we're working on these 4 notes. Okay, and then I'll never meet the ground. Okay, so the way that I memorized that is I thought to myself, we're working on a lot of G chord notes here. Okay, so notice that we're in the key of G, and so the 1 chord is G, And so I'm thinking to myself, when I get to this chorus, I'm going to be working around the 1 chord, the G chord, a lot of G chords. So we have, now watch this. In order to memorize these movements, kind of where there's kind of, decent sized jumps, you have to just think in terms of the shape. So I'm thinking, so I'm not hitting wrong notes and I'm more consistent as I play this and memorize it. I'm thinking to myself, it's just G chord notes. So, so that's how I want you to memorize it. Okay. And then it'll repeat again. So, oh no, it does that again. Not yet. The second part of the chorus will do something a little bit different. Okay, so the first 2 lines of the chorus there sound like that, very slowly with the left hand. So it sounds like this. So notice that the left hand and right hand, they're kind of hitting off of one another with these chord changes. And so I want to highlight that before we move on into the duet part. So let me play through it again. Let me highlight it and then we'll move on. So we have, watch this. So notice that when the D chord comes in, it's coming in after the melody line of the D up here. So we have, so, and then the E minor comes in alone and then the right hand does its thing. So the last 2 chords of that little sequence there in the chorus, okay, the D and the E minor, they don't come in with the melody line. Okay, so one more time to drive the point home. I want to make sure you get this. Here we go, from the top of the chorus, and I'll call it out again. Right here. Okay, let's do it again, a little bit more up to speed. Okay, let's talk about this portion. Okay, so what's happening there, the left hand's still going to be doing the A minor, D over F sharp, and then to the G and the D and the E minor. Okay, so we know how to do that. So we know how to do those chords. Sorry, got carried away. I love this chord here. And then I started thinking about other cool chords. So the left hand's still doing the same thing. The right hand is going to do the duet part. Okay, guys? And so the duet part is going to be 2 melody lines harmonizing with each other. So notice that I'm teaching you this song, right? And we're doing single melody line notes. Okay, single notes. But in the music and in the song, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga are coming in to harmonize with one another, 2 notes at the same time. And so your right hand's gonna have to get good at doing 2 notes. But I have a cool idea to give to you guys to get these down. And more important than the idea, it's more about fingering. Okay, so let's go through the right hand since we know what the left hand is doing. So in the shallow, okay? So it's going to be a C and a G, thumb and 5 finger. Okay, so da 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 da, and then you're going to go thumb and 4 finger. So this 4 finger is really important because it leaves the pinky open to go to this. You got to get good at that. So you have in the shallow. So just practice that. Okay, you can even kind of do some little practicing snapping. Okay, so let's move on. And then it goes, when you go to the G chord, So it's still the same 2 chords for the next melody line, so in the right hand. So notice what's happening here. This is really important. I was kind of giving you a little bit of insight on 10th intervals, right? So let me give you a little insight on what's happening with these intervals here. Okay, so for the most part, these are 6 intervals. So basically, it just describes a distance in between the notes. And notice the most powerful thing is that if, let's say we're starting here, this is a 6 interval. If we're starting here, what's happening is you got to get good at moving these intervals within the scale. And what I mean by that is, notice that the bottom note is going to move down, the top note is going to move down, but you move down to the next note in the scale. Okay, so the next note in the scale for this, moving to the left of the keyboard, would be F, right? Wrong. It would be F sharp. Remember, I opened the video talking about the key signature, so it would be F sharp. Your bottom note is going to move down to an A. So you have this and then this. Now let's continue the logic. The next note down in the bottom note is going to be a G. This is going to go here. And then look at, we're showing up to F again, so we know we need to sharp that. So the next one down would be this. So the top note went to a D here. Okay, so if you can kind of get good at doing these intervals with the fingering I talked about, like the 1 and the 4, and then 1 and 5, then you're going to be able to master this part very nicely. So practice that. Okay, that's going to be helpful. From the top of this harmonizing section with the left hand going, let's still pay attention to the right hand. We know what the left hand's doing, but let's just put it in for reference. Right hand's going to do this. Nice and slow. I like to do that. Okay, the music doesn't show that and it doesn't play that, but I think it sounds good. All I'm doing there, notice the fingering, it's 1 and 4, and then that leaves my 1 and 3 to come in here. So my 3 is my middle finger. So up to speed. Then it repeats. It changes here. We're far from the shallow now. So it goes, we're, so this note, this is just, this interval you're going to have to memorize. It's not a 6 interval. So we're far, so we're going to go to this, far from the shallow. You go back to it. So here, far from the shallow. And then it goes to this, okay? Okay, so one more time, all the way through it, nice and slow, and then we'll go into the... Okay, so... Now the bridge and then the ending chorus, which is basically the same exact thing we just went over, and then we'll be done. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, up until this point. If you like what I'm doing here and you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you want to learn how to take your songs to the next level and enhance them using just 3 simple tools that I focus on: syncopation, chord voicing, and melodic gap fillers and runs. If you're interested in that, I would encourage you to check out my membership up here. I have thousands of adults just like you that are learning songs, want to play in a simple way but sound professional and be able to fill out their music. So that's what you're going to get in the membership, and you're going to also get access to this shallow song, the next videos that come after this. This is just the basic form of the song, the free taster. So let's go into the bridge. Okay, the chords are a little different. The chord chart and lead sheet that I have in the description that's free for you guys is going to be helpful on this. So we're going to have a B minor, whoa, da, 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 and then to a D, and then to an A, and then to an E minor. and then back to a B minor, and then to a D to the A. So just look at my left hand. So one more time. B minor, D, A. These are all 4 counts. E minor. Then it repeats. B minor. B minor, da da da, to the A, and then. Okay, so it'll go into that huge chorus, which I'll teach you how to do. My mic's wanting to make noise. It's so annoying. Okay, so again, another pattern to memorize this bridge and the chords. You have the chord chart, but let's see if we can find a pattern. So the first chord in the left hand's a B minor, okay? Now when you go to the D, from here, it's really cool because you hit your root and fifth of D. The next chord is actually identified by your fifth interval. So since you're on a D chord right now, we know the next chord coming up, this is just a pattern I found, is an A. So you go to an A, we're on an A chord, root and fifth, and the next chord coming up in the pattern that we figured out here is going to be an E. So then you go to an E minor, and then it repeats back to the B minor. So B minor, da 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 da, D. What's the next chord? It's an A, then an E. Okay, and then it'll repeat again. So let's go through the melody line. So we have. Let me just play through it, and then I'll teach it. That's how it's going to sound. Okay, so let's just memorize these melody line notes and we'll be done. So on the B minor, you're going to go to an F sharp. So it's okay. So it's these 3 notes here. Back to the F sharp in the right hand. Okay, so that movement there. So we're still sticking around these 3 notes, but we added in this. That's when you go to the E minor. So we're. And then it goes back up to the F sharp. That B note for the A chord, and then A minor into the chorus. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Hopefully this basic version of the song and the things I was talking about, you know, kind of memorizing things with shapes and finding patterns, hopefully that was all helpful. Go get that free chord chart and lead sheet, and if you're ready for the next steps and want to fill out your playing and sound more professional, go check out my membership. You're going to enjoy it. I've been doing this for many years. I have over 23,000 people in that membership enjoying this. Otherwise, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll catch you guys in another video.